Hey friends, I'm Amy, a health coach here at Flip Your Leaf, and today we're going to talk about lactose. Now, lactose is a disaccharide, which is the D in FODMAP, and all that means is that there are two molecules bonded together, in this case glucose and galactose. Now, because these molecules are bonded together, they're stuck together, holding hands, they are too big to fit through the intestinal lining together. And so our body relies on an enzyme found in the small intestine called lactase. Now, the whole job of lactase is to grab a hold of these two molecules and snap them apart so that they're now small enough to fit through the intestinal lining. So we get into trouble when we don't make enough or any of this enzyme lactase. So this is where we're getting into lactose intolerance, which is just I'm eating the normal amount of dairy from, a standard Western diet, and my body is not breaking it down effectively. And so that means that these lactose molecules are continuing to sit in my small intestine. They're continuing to travel through into my colon, and there are two problems that happen here. First of all, lactose is an osmotic molecule, and that means that it attracts water into the bowel. So as we have these lactose molecules sitting here, they are actively pulling and encouraging water to come into our bowel. And that means we end up with problems like distension and bloating. You might get abdominal pain or cramping. You might end up with diarrhea. And that's just this water coming in and in and into our bowel, which can be incredibly uncomfortable, especially if you're someone with IBS who has, heightened awareness of our gut. We have heightened pain in the gut. So a second issue that we end up with is when these molecules aren't absorbed correctly in the small intestine, that means that now we have lactose traveling down to the large intestine or the colon. And because these molecules, these little packages are so tiny, they're rapidly fermented by your gut bugs. And so now we're getting this rapid production of gas. We also have all of this water coming down through the small intestine. So again, we're going to end up with bloating, distension. You might end up with abdominal pain, cramping, diarrhea, like none of these things we want. And so it's really important, as a person with lactose intolerance or as a person working with FODMAP sensitivities, that we are managing the amount of lactose that we're consuming, especially during the elimination phase if you're doing the low FODMAP program. So there are a couple of options here. First of all, we are not dairy-free. If dairy was in your diet before you started the low FODMAP program, you can absolutely still have dairy. There are a ton of options for you in the Monash app. I would encourage you to go check that out and look for servings of foods that work for you. And this is just the way that they're created, the way that they're manufactured lowers the lactose content enough that they become low FODMAP. And like the average person who has lactose intolerance can consume, I think it's like 12 to 15 grams of lactose per sitting, even more if they're spreading it out during the day now. It's a little bit lower for the low FODMAP program. It's I think it's like 1 gram standard for the low FODMAP diet, but your healthcare team, your dietitian, or your health coach can help direct you to products that are within the threshold for the low FODMAP program. And like I said, there are tons of options in the Monash app for how to incorporate just regular everyday dairy products into your diet. Now, another option is to use lactose-free products. So in the scope of the low FODMAP diet, if you have a lactose-free product, that's like free game, right? As long as it doesn't contain other FODMAPs, you are good to go here. And that's because for a product, at least in North America, for a product to be labeled lactose-free, the manufacturer has to add enough of the enzyme lactase, that one that's normally in our body, they're adding it to the actual product so that while that product is developing or before it's being packaged, all of the lactose enzymes are broken down for you. And in order to be labeled that way in North America, it has to be absolutely lactose free. So if something is labeled lactose free, what that means is that like a company has come in, a third party has come in and made a guarantee to you that like this product, this manufacturer has in fact added enough lactase enzyme to render this product lactose free. And if you put it in your body, all of those sugars are going to be absorbed correctly. They're going to be absorbed naturally because they're small enough. Remember, this is the problem. The molecules have been broken apart, so now they're small enough that your body can just sort of do its thing and absorb them correctly. Because the issue here isn't with absorption, it's with, cracking them in half so that they're small enough that they can be taken in through the lining of the small intestine. So one of the fun things, just before we go, about lactose in the scope of the low FODMAP diet is that it is the only test that you are going to do that is pass or fail. And what I mean by that is that you either do or do not make enough of the enzyme lactase. So if you pass your lactose test with flying colors, you are not lactose intolerant. And that means when you move into the personalization phase and you're sort of adding back things that worked for you, lactose in particular is not something that's going to stack up on you. It's not something that you're going to have to manage consistently, unlike other FODMAPs, which, you know, you might have to be concerned about mixing or matching or sort of meal timing wise. If you make enough of the enzyme lactose, then your body's doing the thing. It's like everything is getting done correctly, and that is one thing that you do not need to worry about day to day. So just to recap our idea for today, lactose is a disaccharide, which means that it is two molecules bonded together. And that can be problematic because these two molecules, you know, as sidekicks, as a pair, are too big to fit through the lining of the small intestine. And so our bodies rely on the enzyme lactase to sort of crack them in half and make them small enough that we can pull out those molecules into our bloodstream. So when we have, you know, an issue of lactose intolerance, we're not making enough of the enzyme lactase to sort of, you know, work through the amount of dairy that we're eating in our diet. These lactose molecules continue to sit in our small intestine where they pull in lots and lots of water. We might get, you know, uncomfortable bowel symptoms like pain or cramping or even diarrhea. And then as they work down into the colon or the large intestine, they're fermented by gut bacteria. So now we're getting this excessive gas production, you know, again, cramping, bloating, all of these uncomfortable symptoms. And so if you are in the elimination phase of the low FODMAP program, or you suspect that you have lactose intolerance, the easiest way to approach this is first to check out your Monash app to look for low FODMAP servings, so safe servings of lactose products that exist already. Another option is to use lactose-free products where the manufacturer has already added the enzyme lactase for you. And so when you're consuming a product, you're drinking milk, you're having ice cream, those molecules are already pulled apart for you and they'll be absorbed perfectly fine by your body as long as there are no other FODMAPs in there. Don't forget to check for sneaky FODMAPs. So that is our idea for today. If you want to learn more about the low FODMAP diet, you want to get some tasty recipes, make sure to check out my Instagram profile. I'm going to link it down below for you, but I have a ton of low FODMAP recipes. They are gluten-free, they are lactose-free, they are low in fructose, everything you need to rock your low FODMAP diet and like send your taste buds to the moon. Definitely check it out. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You are going to get a ton more information about IBS, FODMAPs, and really how to feel at home in your body. I'll see you in my next video.